But Carson, you have just put a note out 15 minutes ago saying that you're shorting TeliaSonera. That stock price is down. Why are you shorting it?
Well, we're shorting it because it's known that this company, which is a mobile operator in Northern Europe, as well as the stands, Central Asia, it's known that it has some problems, but the problems are actually far worse than investors seem to understand. And this relates to widespread corruption that had occurred in pretty much every single one of its markets which was operating in Central Asia.
You have evidence to back that up, so of course we haven't independently verified. We've also spoken to the spokesperson of TeliaSonera. He says they're trying to be as open and transparent as they can on all issues.
Well, I really take issue with that, and that's part of the thesis here with the short of Telia. I mean, Telia, I presume, has much better information about what has transpired than it's given the markets. Now, I mean,
And again, you have evidence for this.
Yeah, so we have a list of payments that were made in numerous countries that in many ways make no commercial sense. These payments total about $2 billion US. We think there's a good chance that these are corrupt payments. I mean, it's impossible to say which ones are corrupt, but we really think Telia needs to provide a lot more information to investors in order for them to make decisions about this.
Carson, just so that all of our viewers are very clear, the stock price for TeliaSonera is down 3.3%. If the price decreases, also following your comments, you make money on this.
Yes, I mean, I'm
But we need to make that clear.
Sure.
Within that, Carson, and to your notoriety of making a lot of money on transactions, and at times the rough road, short selling is a contact sport, did you take position shorting before you announced the securities research? Are you in the shorts as you come on our set this morning?
Yes. We are always very clear that we research companies, we take positions, and then we communicate our views.
But the critical idea is you took the positions before you disseminated the research, right?
That's correct.
Do you think that's fair trading? I mean, is Jim Chanos doing that? He's being more private about it, isn't he? Well, or another short, David Tyson, other short sellers?
Well, I mean, we're activist investors.
Fair.
Okay, so usually speaking, short sellers get a much harder time, for what they're trading and what they do.
Stop, it's immoral and you're going to hell. I mean, that's how most of the world thinks, right?
Yeah, that's how, especially managements and boards, every time they're criticized, I mean, they blame shorts. Great example.
Have you spoke to this board or to their auditors? Who are their major auditors right now? Any idea?
So their auditor since last year has been Deloitte. Prior to that, it was PwC.
That's not a startup firm. Deloitte's got a great shape. Are you saying on the balance sheet there's issues of goodwill that is really bad will?
Yeah, no, I mean, we think that write-downs could approach. I mean, if the company were actually going to be critical about the accounting that's occurred in the past, we think these write-downs could approach $2.5 billion US.
Okay, Mr. Bevins, well, I want to go to Mr. Bevins here and talk to him about...
Yeah, I just need to say, there is also an investigation going on.
I'm not in chat,
the U.S. Department.
Is this fair play? I mean, I think it's great, the research you've done. I think, you've had worldwide acclaim for seeing stocks go down 80%, et cetera. But is the process of what Mr. Block's doing appropriate to come out with the disseminated research somewhat after taking the short positions?
He's absolutely putting his money where his mouth is, and I think that's totally fair. And what he's saying to the public writ large is, look, guys, there's a problem. We think there's a problem. We're backing our view by trading in the marketplace. We're being very transparent on this. If you want to join us on this party, that's great. If you don't, well, we're going to do it anyway. And I see nothing wrong with that.
Could you do this in the United States with the SEC? I mean, do you have to stay outside the United States because you're worried about regulation?
No,
regulators going against you?
Not at all. I mean, just to explain the bar that we have to clear with every single sentence that I write in a report. I assume every time I release a report that I could be looking at civil litigation with the target company and that I'll be dealing with a hostile regulator. Now, I've dealt with regulators numerous times, usually my approaching them. I would never characterize any one of those interactions as hostile toward us, and I haven't really been sued that often. So it's a very high bar. And, the thing is, I've never met anybody doing equity research for charitable purposes.
I totally agree.
My model has a lot of turbulence. I mean, there are the legal issues, that come up when companies do sue. And it's a pretty
But
high-stress model.
You're doing
So,
both of the, I mean, and David Kostin at Goldman Sachs is not taking positions. He's basically doing securities research. You're playing both ways, aren't you?
But at least this is transparent,
well,
right?
Look, Goldman, for the privilege of sitting in between, all brokerage firms, the public and the market, and that information flow, they have to segregate research from sales and trading,
right?
Or they're supposed to.
You're not segregated.
No.
Okay,
This
I want
is
to
just
get
a
that.
different
That's a
model.
very
that's
important
clear.